Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Millennium Fellowship Global Webinar. So happy to have you all here. My name is Krisha Mankarmi. I'm the campus director from OP Jindal Global University in India, and I'm so happy to be moderating this session. Before we start, let's do a quick round of introductions with everyone who's here, all our fellows. If you can unmute yourself and introduce yourself or tell us where you are from in the chat, that would be amazing. Great. Thank you all for being here. To give you a little bit about my project is called Clothing India, where we have different forms of sustainability and upcycling, focusing on SDG 8 and SDG 12, where a lot of clothes are recycled from the university campus itself, and we bring them in and upcycle them to reintroduce them in our university to have a circular economy and circular fashion. So happy to see so many people present here. Arya, hi from the Netherlands. We have Mariana from Brazil, Kushi from Christ. It's so lovely to see so many people from different regions. If there's anyone who wants to unmute themselves to introduce themselves quickly, feel free to do that. Okay, great. Um, Let's quickly start with introducing the speaker for our webinar today. So we have Sumaya Barakat with us, who is an animator and a filmmaker and an education officer at Injaz Al Arab Jamena. She creates digital learning experiences for students across the MENA region and is passionate about how art supports emotional expression and connection. Her work with teams across 13 countries has shaped her interest in global collaboration, well being, and the role of creative tools, including art therapy, in helping people feel seen and supported. Sumaya, can we have a few words from you?
Yes, of course. Thank you so much, Krisha, for this amazing introduction. I am insanely hyped and excited to be here with you guys because what I'm about to share is something that I've been working on for the longest time ever, and it's also like a mix of a lot of things that I love in life. So this is the first time that I get an opportunity to share about all the things that I like in just one presentation. So I'm really excited. And also, one side note, I tend to talk very fast when I'm excited. So please, if you like found me like running with my words, be like, Sumaya, chill, take a deep breath, and we want to hear what you're actually saying, okay? So before starting with my presentation, I'd like to give the biggest thank ever to the MSN and the United Nations for the amazing Millennium Fellowship launching, and it's an absolute honor to be here with you guys. And I hope by the end of this session, you feel like a little bit inspired and a bit lighter. So today I am going to tell you about why art therapy is magical. And before starting, I'd like to tell you a little introduction about myself. Can we go to the next slide, please? Okay, so my name is Sumaya Barakat. I am 28 years old. I was born and raised in Jerusalem, Palestine, and then when I was 6 years old, we moved to Jordan, and I've been living there ever since. And for university, I studied animation and multimedia, where I got to learn how art and visual, like how to use art and visuals in storytelling and how to spread it to the worldwide. And then moving forward to where we are now, for the past 2 years, I've been working as an education officer at a global NGO called Injaz Al Arab. What we do is that we spread education. We teach students all over the MENA region about topics that they never get to learn in their schools, such as entrepreneurship, STEM technology, work readiness, and all of those cool topics. And what I do exactly as my role as an education officer is that I get to digitize the content and make it as fun and interactive as possible. And next slide, please. first starting again, since I'm going to be mentioning the term art therapy a lot, I just like to tell you the definition of it. And art therapy, it's a distinct discipline that incorporates creative methods of expression through visual and art. In short, instead of using words as a therapeutic tool, we are going to be using art. Next slide. And do you know, I'm gonna tell you like this whole session is gonna be a little story. But you know when you have that word that you're so fascinated about since you were young, but you don't really know why. So that's the thing with me with art therapy. I've heard this term like when I was in high school, and I always like thought it was really cool, and I was really fascinated about it, but I had no clue what it meant. All I knew that I liked art, and even though I started with art as a late bloomer, I didn't start when I was younger. I started at 17. And therapy, obviously, we're all interested in human complexities and we want to learn about ourselves and all of that. So when I first heard the word art and therapy, I was like, oh damn, like that's so cool. I don't know what that is, but I want to learn more about it. So, my journey with art therapy started 2 years ago when the war started on Gaza. And just like a lot of us, I was in a state where I couldn't accept what was happening and I couldn't change it. So I was in this spiral, like like spiral phase of my life, or where I genuinely did not know what I'm supposed to do in life. And I remember I had so much fire inside of me, and I felt like if I kept it inside, it's gonna burn me, and if I let it out, it's gonna come out very messy. And I had no idea how I should do with myself anymore. And back then, I did not just have an art block, to be honest. I had a life block, and I life suddenly stopped, and I didn't know what I was doing anymore. That's when I remembered art therapy. I was like, listen, Sumaya, this is something that you've always been interested in. Why don't you just go and give it a shot? Like, let's just experiment with art therapy. So I started going on art therapy sessions here in Jordan. And I remember every single time I left the session, keeping in mind it was very heavy. It wasn't like, oh, we're just drawing and painting and doing cute things. It was actually very heavy. But I remember like leaving the session every single time. I'm like, oh damn, like I wish I could make people feel the same way that I'm feeling right now. It's not that I figured my life out. It's just that I felt a little bit lighter and I knew how to deal with my emotions. And also I feel like I cracked one of like the life hacks, and I just wanted to do everyone to do the same. And then I was like, listen, Sumaya, let's take this a bit more deeper, because I was really into it. I felt good at what I was like at where I was in life, and I really wanted to take it a step forward. So I was looking for some schools in art therapy to teach me, because I was like, listen, if you want to pursue this in the future, you need to be very sure. Because even though I tried it and I really believe in it, and I was the biggest advocate for art therapy, I was just screaming it for everyone in my life that they should try it. But I was like, if I'm gonna take it into a more serious step, I need to be very sure of the thing that I was pursuing. So I decided to take like a summer school short course in Ireland. And it happened this summer, and it was only 5 days. And one of the main reasons I picked Ireland is that, come on, it's Ireland. I've always wanted to go there, and it's green and beautiful and nature. And also because we share a lot of generational trauma, because they went through the same thing that we were going through. And I wanted to talk to someone who could relate and have the knowledge and the case studies and the tools that they're using at the moment, so I could take whatever that they have and bring it back to my country. So I went to the course, and I remember on the second day I was sitting on a chair while we were waiting for everyone to come and like join the room, and I was sitting there and I was like, okay, yes, I really want this. I really want to be the facilitator. I don't want to be the patient here, or the client. I want to be the person running this session, because it's it was something that we all needed, and I felt like it's such like a magical information and like magical tools that I want everyone to do. And keeping in mind art therapy, like in art therapy, you do not need to be an artist. Like you just use the canvas as an expression tool. So art here is just a tool, it's not a talent. So that was what was cool about it. Can you go to the next slide, please? So I finished my course. I was hyped, and the fire that I had turned into a cute little fire that wanted to actually do something good and not just blurred out of the world. So I decided to go and so I decided to go and volunteer at a hospital we have in Jordan. It's part of Doctors Without Borders. And the idea of this hospital, if you have never heard about it, that like they had injured people from war, and they were staying there for a while until they get the medication that they needed. So I started doing art session with the kids with a great friend of mine. His name is Hassam. I'm gonna mention him later in a bit. But we had kids from Gaza, Yemen, and Iraq, and the kids' ages were from 5 until 16. And the main reason for the workshops that we did was honestly not to heal or to cure. Keeping in mind, I cannot do that at that point because my like knowledge in art therapy was 1%. So I cannot by any chance do an art therapy session. I just wanted them to create art, learn more about like learn how to do art and just have fun, like, in the hospital, why not? And and we started seeing like a week after a week, the kids started expressing their emotions more in their artwork, and they started being more comfortable with us. So they started like drawing visuals and their families and things that they're missing, which was really cool witnessing that on a page. They were very hyped and they would share what they feel about this. And what was really cool about art in like in that specific situation is that because all of those kids they went through a lot of traumatic events in their life, and it's too tragic, like it's such a tragedy, and they don't have the words or the literacy to describe what they were dealing with. So art came as an amazing tool to express and just release a little bit of what they were feeling. And we had a lot of like wait, I want to show you here like some examples. We used to create art. We would create like characters. They would draw their families. By the way, this is just a tiny part, but what's cool about the like all the artworks that they created is they're gonna have a gallery and they're gonna get to sell their art. But this is just like a tiny example of what they did. But it was just really nice seeing how they're expressing their emotions on a paper. And a week after week, we started noticing that the kids they were getting a little bit more comfortable with us. Uh, because of the war, a lot of kids they had injuries on their faces, so they wore a mask to hide it. And I remember one day we came into the workshop and we noticed a kid, he removed his mask and he was just talking very freely and very publicly to everyone. He was just showing his art. And the other kids, they looked at him and they started, like three of them, they removed the mask. And I was like at that moment, I paused and I was like, "This is so heartwarming to witness," because I felt like it's actually helping. And like in each session that we go to them, I felt like they were shedding a layer that was necessary to remove, and they're just more comfortable with us. Can we go to the next slide? So one day, we were going back from one of the sessions, and my friend Hussam, he was sitting in my car, and I was telling him like, Hussam, like by the way, we had this ritual like whenever we'd leave a session we had to cry for an hour because life is intense and it's heavy, so we just cry and burst our tears out, and then we'd share like how the process that we're seeing and like all of the amazing things that we're witnessing with the kids and all of that. And one day I was telling him, I was like, listen Hassam, like I feel like I don't know anymore if I'm doing this because I'm a good person or because I'm feeding my ego. Because at the end of every day that we're doing those sessions, I just sleep in my bed and I feel like a lot of satisfaction. And I was like, I don't know, I don't know myself anymore. Like, am I doing it because I really want to do it and I'm really passionate and I really want to help kids, or it's just because it's making me feel good and it's feeding my ego. And he told me this amazing sentence in the next slide. He's like, listen, Sumaya, when you're doing good, you're doing good. It's nothing extra. You're just doing your part of the world. So don't, like, whatever it is that you're doing, don't consider that you're doing it as an extra. It's a necessity to you. You are privileged. You have a lot of talents. You've got power in you. You have the energy. So it's not like, oh, this is something extra that I'm doing, that I'll put a crown and like people will clap for me because I'm a good human. He's like, no, no, no. This is like it's not an extra thing. It's part of your world and you should be doing it. And I was like, you know what? I'll take it. And he's like, you know what? if the ego like wanted to take a bite from this goodness every once in a while, he's like, you know what, let him take it. It's just a tiny bite. It won't affect or it won't change any fact that what you're doing is good and it's actually doing an impact. So going to the next slide, what I'm trying to say is that art helps. And not a lot of people are familiar with it. And especially because art therapy is such a new term, but especially with kids and like the situations that they're in right now, it actually helps. And what I love about doing those good things in life and the volunteering and the session, all of it, is that actually goodness is contagious. And I noticed how, like, the more times Hussam and I would share our stories with the kids, sharing it with the family, with coworkers, and all of that, people were like, wait, I want to do the same. Like, this is cool. Like, it doesn't have to be necessarily related to art and like with kids, but they're like, they felt the need to do the same, which was really cool, seeing how contagious it is. Can we go to the next slide? And to concise my experience with art therapy, and one of the biggest lessons that it really taught me is that, you know how we always portray our emotions in an iceberg. We use it as a metaphor. It's like this is how much we show, but this is how much we're actually feeling, and it takes like it's just like all the emotions and feelings and complexity of us being humans. So what art therapy did to me personally is that I felt like in each time I was melting my iceberg like a little by little until I was able to swim in a sea. And sometimes I take a bite of pain, I take a bite of joy. I feel warmth and I feel sadness, I feel loneliness and then satisfaction, but at least I'm still swimming. And I was like, oh my God, I really like this. And I feel like I unlocked something in this life. And I just want everyone to know and like to use the right tools to teach them how to keep swimming and never stop. And going to the next slide, I'm going to share a cool concept that I really like, and my brother once told me about it, and I cannot stop telling everyone about it. Is that if you think of humans as pixels and they're all colored in black, and you just see that just that one tiny pixel in white, you're gonna see it and you're gonna notice it, and the light of that pixel is gonna reflect on the pixels around it. So it's just really nice to remember whenever that you're doing something, whether it's tiny or big or huge, just remember that you're a pixel and you're colored and everyone can see you on this bigger world. And yeah, that's my last words. Going to the next slide, I am open for any Q&As.
Thank you so much, Sumaya, for that lovely, lovely presentation. And like you said, where humans are pixels, I think all of us at MCN are also pixels who are trying to make an impact with the work that we do through our projects in tandem with the Sustainable Development Goals. So, coming to the questions, your work combines art and social impact. So, what are the best ways to use various art mediums in conveying social change messages?
Oh, that's a cool question. Well, I think honestly, it's going to be a very simple answer, but I think create a community that believes in the same like ideas and messages same as you, because you know, sometimes we think that we can do everything on our own, but we genuinely can't. Sometimes we need the motivation, the knowledge. But if you were able to find like create a community and just gather whatever it is that you like, the knowledge that you all have to do something, you'll find something like in between, and you'll come out with something really cool and really beneficial at the end of it.
That's very lovely to see how much, how self-driven the process is, and that is something that we all can learn from and incorporate. So, there are many artists who encounter creative blocks or challenges during designing processes. So, how do you find yourself inspired continuously?
Oof, Krisha, you never not get the art block, by the way. You don't get just the art block, you get the life block. But honestly, I've learned that some things like, you know how we're supposed to treat ourselves with like softness and cuteness, but sometimes you gotta force yourself and just show up. So I just think showing up and forcing it sometimes actually works. And speaking of that, I've been reading, I don't know if any of you heard about the book The Artist's Way. But it's technically it's like a book and you have to commit to it. You have to sign a contract and you have to commit to it every single week. And by the end of it, you'll get out of your art block. So I've been using it for a while and I was like, it actually works because when you hold yourself accountable and you just show up whether you want it or not, the art block like she calls it the censor in the book, but the censor is gonna go apparently because he's gonna get sick of you. Oh, like she's still standing there, she's not moving, so might as well I move. So it's just showing up honestly.
Yeah, showing up goes a great deal, and I think books like The Creative Act as well talk about similar principles. So it's really nice to see what you have to say about this. So, also in terms of your main area of focus, which is mental health and emotional expression, many of our fellows are advancing SDG 3, which is good health and well-being. So, what advice do you have for them to successfully conduct projects about this topic?
Hmm. Okay, so I think if explore the tools that you have around you. It doesn't have to be art therapy. It doesn't have to be therapy in general. It doesn't have to be what it's in front of you. Just explore the tools that you find interesting and try to integrate them in every single thing because honestly, wellness and mental health is not an option anymore. It's something that we really need to integrate into even in our education. So it's just like just honestly explore the options that you have in front of you and not try to force it, but you're going to find a way to integrate it into all the programs that you have and the impact that you're doing.
How lovely. So, through your work at Injaz and Al Arab and Jamena, you have empowered thousands of young minds of the MENA region. So, what are the best ways to build trust with young people for fruitful collaboration?
Okay, so this is the perfect question because I'm working with youth like 24/7. And the one thing that I learned, and it took me, by the way, a lot of like a while to understand it, but I think we should listen to what they need, not what we think they need. Because most of the time we just assume and we read like articles or whatever, we assume like, oh, this is what they need, but we should really just listen to them. Maybe what we're guiding them towards is not what they genuinely need as a generation. I just think we gotta stay updated and listen and communicate with them. It's for them at the end of the day. And by the way, I'd like to add one thing about this is I actually recently started creating a program at our organization. It's called Career Success Makeover, where I teach kids about how to know, like how to dig deeper into themselves. And also I'm integrating AI in art therapy because I think it's really important to know yourself as a human, to know what you want to be in the future. So it's really cool that I get to have this opportunity to like combine one of the two things that I really love, which is education and dealing with students, and also integrating art therapy and showing the world how cool it is. So maybe in the future, once the course is done, I'm working with it right now with the girls who migrated from Gaza to Egypt. So once the course is done, maybe I can share it with you and you can like check it out. That would be very nice.
Yeah, that would be absolutely lovely. I would just like to remind fellows at the same time that please feel free to drop your questions into the chat box. We would be opening the floor to fellows shortly, and feel free to raise your hands as well. And I would be more than happy to go ahead with that. Coming to the last question, in your role as an education officer at Injaz Al Arab and Jamina, together with the private and public sectors, the programs provide hands on learning in financial literacy, work readiness, and entrepreneurship skills for youth. So, what are the most important skills that every young person doing social impact should have, since all of us are leading and collaborating on various projects and trying to make changes in our communities? So, what would you recommend?
To keep it very short, I think they all just need empathy because at the end of the day, all their careers, all the programs that they're building, all the companies, everything that they're building is for humans and to humans and like it's for humanity at the end of the day. So and you could notice it like the more empathy you have towards the people around you and to what you're doing, it's it's always like it always comes out extra ordinary. So it's just, yeah, empathy to keep it very short, to be honest.
No, I completely agree with that. So we have an audience question from Anjali. So, have you seen art therapy transform people, especially those who don't consider themselves creative, or as you said, those who face a life block?
Oh, 100%. Okay, I'm gonna share like a teeny tiny story with you. When I went to Ireland, because I've been practicing art since I was 17, like I told you guys, and I was there with like I was the only artist with two other artists, like the only girls who knew how to draw, and the rest they didn't know how to draw. And I remember while we were doing our own like art therapy practices, because I'm an artist and I know how to mix colors, so I was thinking a lot about my technique, and I just wanted to make sure that my like the outcome of the painting looks pretty. And I would look at my colleague. She'd be sitting there and just like blurring her emotion out in on a paper without caring about the color combination, if it works or if it doesn't. So I was like, oh damn, like not being an artist is actually kind of a bliss in this situation, because I was so into my head and I wanted it to look pretty, and she did not care. She just wanted to like tell a story through her painting. So no, you don't have to be an artist at all. Actually, you'd be very surprised of the outcome that you're gonna make. And it's because it's all unconsciously. So it's just really cool seeing yourself on a paper, whether you know how to draw or not. And it's really nice that our brain will connect a certain shape, like a certain emotion into a shape. So you're gonna start seeing a lot of shapes in your painting. So you don't have to be an artist. Honestly, you don't have to be an artist at all.
Yeah, the process is extremely intuitive as well because it's a lot of expression through your hands, through your mind, and then it just flows out of you. So putting therapy with art would make a lot of sense from that perspective.
Absolutely.
Yes, coming to audience questions, we have Blessed Follickbait. You've raised your hand. Feel free to unmute and ask your questions whenever.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hello.
Can you hear me? Hello, I'm Blessed Falagbade from Nigeria, Federal University of Technology, Minna. I have a question. As pertaining your arts therapy, have you ever faced challenges during the process to make a social impact? And the challenges you make, how did you overcome them? So that's my question.
I'm very sorry, I couldn't hear it very well. Did you hear it, Krisha?
I
No.
think I say, have you ever made challenges during your art therapy process, during to make a social impact? And how do you overcome all those challenges?
The question is about the challenges and overcoming those challenges when you're doing art therapy.
Okay, so first of all, I really love your name, Blessed. It's such a cute name. And second of all, since I'm not a qualified art therapist yet. I might be in the future, you never know. But I don't have the specific like answer, to be honest, because I don't work in the field as an art therapist. It's just something that I'm passionate about, that I'm learning about continuously. But I think like one of the social impacts is that you got to treat it just the same as art, like therapy in general. And also it's like you should take the advantage of it that it has art, because you could reach a lot of people that you were not able to reach through therapy like alone. So especially with kids, because just like I said, they use it as an expressive tool. So yeah, I just think you just need, like, you could use it as a tool to reach the people that you want to reach, you know? I hope I answered that.
Uh, Lovely response. Thank you so much for that. We have one more question from the audience from Maria. So many young people want to be the agent of change, but we can often end up emotionally overwhelmed in the process. So, what practical advice would you give for taking care of ourselves as peace facilitators while we also care for others in our community?
Oof, amazing question. And also, I've been suffering with that as well. Because I felt the exact same even after my personal art therapy sessions. Like when I had lived my personal art therapy session, and when I went to Ireland, and after every session, I just felt this. I felt like there's a rock on my chest, because it's therapy at the end of the day, and it's a lot of things that you need to unlock. And also when I was doing my sessions with the kids, just like I told you, me and Hussam, my friend, would have a crying session in the car because it was just too much to take. But honestly, sometimes you gotta, like, I know sometimes when we are doing something good, we're like, no, 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 like, I can put my emotion aside. Like, they are like what matters to me at that moment. They are the injured ones. They are the one who needs healing. So I can put my side on the self for a bit. But no, like, because the second you ignore yourself and how you feel is gonna reflect on a lot of things, and it's gonna show. And like, maybe like you're gonna, like, some part of you that you don't want to be seen might be seen in a session. So whenever you feel that emotion, you need to stop. Yeah, just take a break, stop. You are a human. There's a lot that you take during that process. You have to take care of yourself. There's a lot of tools that you could use to take care of yourself as a human. And honestly, I think you should talk about it, because the more you talk about it, it becomes just a little bit lighter, and you don't feel like you're sharing this burden just with yourself. So yeah, taking a break, we do need a break. We are humans, and share it with other people what you're feeling. And as cliche as it sounds, but journal it, because journaling is really magical as well. And it's so beneficial to us humans to just let go and release.
Yeah, of course. Anything which has a lot to do with paper and putting your emotions down through different forms, whether it's through words, art, it really does make a difference in fun. We have one more question from the audience. Favor Thompson, feel free to unmute and ask your question.
Good afternoon. Favor Thompson from Nigeria. I hope you can hear me clearly. Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hello. Yeah, we
Hello.
can hear you. Can you write it in the chat
Can you
box,
hear
Favor?
me?
Because we can't hear you very clearly.
Okay, my question is okay. My
Yeah.
question is, while performing your art therapy, okay. My question is, did you encounter any challenges?
Yeah, we can hear you.
We can hear you, yeah.
I'll have to use the chat bots. The
Yeah.
chat bots. I mean.
Okay, great.
Thank you so much for that. We have one more question from the audience with respect to what are the challenges you face when you try to put art therapy awareness in the society? And we have a sequel asking this question from the audience.
Okay, I really like that question because no one took it seriously, to be honest, at first, because it's such a new term. And whenever you integrate art into anything, people just assume, like, ah, stop glamoring life and stop adding art into everything. And you artists, you just want to put it everywhere. So at first, personally, on my own family, like every single time I'd come home from an art therapy session, I'd be like, Mama, you should really try this. It's really beneficial. And I'd like try some exercises on her. She's like, listen, like this thing that you're doing, like I don't believe in it. But at the end of the day, honestly, they're at first, because it's just like I told you, it's such a new term. It's not that they don't want to get it. It's that just it's very new to them, and they have never been introduced to such a thing, since it is actually a new thing, especially in our societies, like in the MENA region. But what matters to you, honestly, is the target audience. Like, it's the kids, it's the humans that you're dealing with. So as long as you're seeing the results on them and you're seeing the impact, this is what matters, and society will fall. Like, my mom is the biggest advocate for art therapy, and she's like, listen, you go girl, like purchase it. I believe in whatever that you're doing. So it's just when they see the impact and how it's really nicely working with humans very lightly, which is very nice. I really like about therapy that goes very lightly. They're gonna love it, and they start believing in it.
So lovely to hear that. We have one more question from Kinui. In your experience, what are some measurable outcomes or indicators that show the effectiveness of art therapy?
Okay, that's a nice question. But again, since I'm not practicing yet on actual students, but I'm gonna tell you on my personal experience is that okay, I'm gonna try to explain this because in my head it's so full of metaphors, but I'm gonna try to simplify it. You know, like you know when you feel a certain emotion, like wait, let me rephrase this. What art therapy did is that it teaches you how to deal with certain emotions. It does not teach you how to deal with situations. What I mean by that is that when you go through a really bad situation, and let's say that you were very afraid in that situation, okay? So it doesn't teach you how to just overcome that situation. It teaches you how to come the emotion of fear. So in life, when you're moving and you encounter another emotion of fear here and there and there and there, it teaches you how to like loosen it up and break it down, and it teaches you how to deal with yourself, which is very cool because you get to dig deeper, like since the first day you like the day that you were born until the day. So it's just learning the techniques and the tools that works for you to deal with those emotions. And the cool thing is that you are the one who comes up with those tools, because my tools are different than your tools and other people's tools, you know. It's just like it's a journey of self-exploration, but it comes in a creative form, you know. You see yourself in a form of painting or a sculpture, which is very nice.
Oh, of course, completely agree with that. So we live in a world which is extremely polarized with so many conflicts, with so much discrimination, discrepancy, and so on. So how have you seen art therapy bring people together, especially when we're so fragmented? Before you answer, I would like to remind fellows to put questions into the chat box and feel free to engage.
Um, well, again, art is nice at the end of the day, and people want to do it. So when you tell someone that I want to try this art experiment on you, they wouldn't say this. Like whether they were artist or not, it's just something that, oh, like art, cool, I want to try it. So I think that's what helps more with art therapy is that it's already interesting. Like, yeah, people want to create, people want to learn art, but the trick is that they learn how to deal with own selves while creating it. So I don't think it's again because it's not really like familiar here in Jordan art therapy, but I think in the future it wouldn't be much of a problem because like the word art being there makes it like a bit lighter, you know?
Yes. No, I completely agree with that because especially like with respect to therapy and how it works, you have accessibility issues. You have people who might not be able to avail the benefits of it because they might not understand what it brings to the table. And bringing in a more fun, a more an expression which has a lot to do with movement, especially because humans are intrinsically creative, makes a very, very big difference. So you also spoke about AI and art a little bit. And what are your thoughts on artificial intelligence doing away with the human process of creativity?
Okay. So this is a project that I started really recently. And with the thing that I'm doing with art therapy is that it's going to work as a companion while the students are taking the course, and it's going to work like a therapist that's checking when someone stutters, when someone repeats a sentence, when they stop for a bit. So it's just going to be like the cute friend who is checking on you while you're taking this course. But to be completely honest with you, since I'm still in like the beginning of the process of creating the program, is that it's very tricky to find the fine line of since it is going to be integrated in the course and people are going to be sharing about what they want to be in the future and all of that, it's very tricky to find a safe fine line where they don't overshare, since AI is an open source at the end of the day, where they don't overshare but they get the benefit of AI. So I don't know if you heard about it before, but I'm using like I'm making sure that the tools that you're using when they're self-expressing is on a paper, an actual paper, and the thing that they're putting online is through games like using PlayLab, Olama, and all of that. But Yeah, I'm still learning. I'm still in the process, to be honest, but it's something that I'm really considering every single time I'm working on a curriculum because it can be a bit tricky and you need to be very smart where you're doing it. But I think it's like I did a couple of sessions with the girls while I was creating the course, and they all loved it because it's kind of a learning experience, but it's a very personal one. It's like a course that's speaking to you
Mhm.
specifically, which makes the students like excited and hyped to share more, and to learn about themselves as well.
No, this is beautiful because it's a lot to do with like meeting the needs of your community as well and understanding where they stand. So, at the intersection of education, specifically, you mentioned that you're digitalizing course material. And how do you track and measure the impact of this on students, or is all of this online? Like, is there any way that you can understand if they're doing better, cater to their needs, see if something needs to be changed, and so on?
Okay, so most of the our programs are online, and we don't get to meet with students like face to face most of the time, but we get to measure it by we have like a rule of they completed like 70% of the course. This is how we know that they completed and all of that. But we measure success of how many like how much they're using the course, and obviously with those questions the post and pre-survey. But honestly, because with digital courses in general, people can lose interest very quickly. So we like if we saw a chart of like a students losing interest in a specific course, we know that there's an issue here where we need to like update it or work on it more. um, but yeah, like honestly, we just keep track of the numbers and we take as many feedback as we can with our courses and programs. And we just keep elevating. You never stop elevating, and even when your courses, even when they're done for like a lot of years, you gotta keep moving forward with the kids and you gotta keep making it more interesting.
Of course. Fellows, feel free to ask more questions in the chat box or raise your hand. With that, what is the biggest difference that you've experienced or you think it would be between physical art and virtual art therapy?
Virtual.
Physical therapy and virtual art therapy.
Ooh. Okay, I've tried the physical one, but not really with the virtual one. Then again, because it's really tricky sharing, because you're going to be sharing a lot, so it's really tricky using the virtual part of it. Um, but to be completely honest, I think it should be more physical than virtual. You
Yeah.
can do this session virtually, obviously, but all the work has to be done physically. You need to be like touching a paper, feeling the materials.
Yeah. The sense of feeling is very, very important in terms of how uh, art is created as well, which is why a lot of virtual artists now have been criticized to a certain extent with respect to how they come up with their materials. So,
Absolutely.
what is a strong commonality between art and education that strengthens communities and brings people together? And how can we effectively add art to our curriculum? Because you have multiple different disciplines, like you have law school, you have med school, you have accountancy, which are extremely subject matter heavy and might have little scope for creativity. So, making suggestions to incorporate art into such curriculums might not be the easiest thing to do. So, what would you recommend for such institutions, and how can we strengthen the ties between art and education?
Well, I think it's too early to answer this question because until this day, we're still learning how to integrate art in general. Like especially because since like I told you, most of our courses are digitized, so it's a bit hard to integrate it. But I think once we learn, once we learn how to, thank you, I'm sorry. But once we learn how to and like make students feel more grounded,
Yeah.
we'll get to that. But to completely honest, I think it will take a bit to answer that question more directly because we're still experimenting with
Yeah.
integrating it.
Do you also work on any other forms of therapy or exercise like yoga's integration with art or any other forms of expression, or is it just purely art?
Yeah, actually, I've been really into dance therapy at this point, and it's also an amazing tool to release. And you know what? I just realized that dancing in general and having movement in your day, no matter no matter how it looks like, whether you want to go for a run, a walk, or whatever, it just really helps. We really, really need to keep moving and releasing whatever that we're taking day by day.
No, of course, that's beautiful because even exposure to sunlight, movement, and so on can make a very big difference. So, like, movement is universal, and a few people understand that art is also extremely universal. So, how can you make sure that art as a language is understood by everyone similarly and make it more accepting to everyone?
It doesn't have to be that way, honestly. Not everyone has to accept what you have to offer. Like, the thing about it is that we don't have to think of art as a product, think about it as a process. So it's a process to you, and not everybody has to like it. So, and it's also very, very, very subjective. What I love, you might not like. So we're not seeking anyone's approval doing it. It's just as long as you're happy, you like the process, you liked how you feel, like no matter what the emotion was. And if the outcome was something that you like and it's nice to see, it's like here's a little star for you, but it's not necessary to be liked by everyone or to everyone be fascinated by your art.
Of
Because
course.
personally, yeah.
Yeah. As someone who studies art as well, it is a captive audience. So really just integrating and seeing what you like and moving on from what you don't like is quite important. So my next question is about art therapy being a response to the need you identified in your community. So what do you think we can do to ensure that we can work with people and not for people with the art that we make?
Hmm. Honestly, I feel like recently they are more open to it, and um, like they're being more cooperative with the whole thing, integrating art therapy. And I feel like at first we like you cannot, like, especially because you're creating art at the end of the day, you cannot be working for them, you are working with them. Like it's just how it goes, from the beginning. It's not that we need to change anything about how it works. Because you're like imagine that you're a circle and the circle wouldn't be running without you. So we're all in this one shape together. It's not that one is outside. So we are already in it, which I really like about art therapy as well.
Oh, that's absolutely phenomenal because it really does bring in the idea of community integration, not just from like a top-down level, but also from a bottom-up level, where you're not enforcing or putting something on someone, but just really helping like alleviate a lot of people from what they might be going through. And even if the struggles are different, there is a mode that they can exercise to channelize how they feel and engage in better expression. So we come to our last question now, which is what would your advice be on spreading the word about your social impact project, especially in communities that might not be very familiar with the initiative that you're doing? So, what can you suggest for the same?
Very, very nice question. Because, like I told you, we live in a region where the term therapy in general is not very accepted. Even actually, digital education. Sometimes when you tell specific people about digital education, they're like we don't believe in it doesn't work and all of that. But you gotta give them small bites of it, just step by step, and you gotta be very confident and kind of consistent about it. You don't have to give up because it's going to be hard at the beginning. It's not going to be easy either for you or the communities to accept such concepts. But you got to take it very slow, very subtly, and do not stop because you will reach a point where those exact communities will come and beg you to like do this kind of sessions and to have your programs and all of that. And they need it at the end of the day. What you're doing is for them. And we're a part of this community and we just want to make it better. So your intentions alone that you want to make it better it shows, and people see that in your eyes and the way you do your work. So it makes it way easier, but you do need a lot of resilience, to be completely honest.
Of course, resilience is very important with
Yeah.
anything that you do. So, with that, I think that is the end of our questions. I would like to invite you to make any final remarks for our fellows present here today.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you guys so much for that amazing questions and for hearing me talking about the things that I love in life. It was such a pleasure being here. And I'm going to share my socials. I'm going to share my LinkedIn, my Instagram, and my email as well if you'd like to ask me about anything. And you never know, maybe in 5 years, going to stalk me on LinkedIn and find that I'm an amazing art therapist in Jordan. You never know. But I'd really love to stay in touch with you. And yeah, honestly, thank you so much for this amazing opportunity. It was an absolute pleasure being here with you guys.
Thank you so much for that. It is very lovely, and I'm sure all our fellows would be so, so happy to reach out to you and engage with everything that you said, which has been very beautiful. And it's always nice to hear about your passions and how you integrate them into your workspace so seamlessly. So, with that, we come to an end of this global webinar. I would like to remind all fellows to keep an eye for the emails for further details. The webinar is also recorded, which means that we have Sumaya's details with us and that can be referred to anytime. We also have the upcoming Saturday networking and upskilling hour, which is taking place, and a global webinar with Kayvon Marie on Monday, November 10th at 10 a.m. ET. More information has already been sent on email via the newsletter, which is sent at the beginning of every week. And with that, I think we have come to an end. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here today. Very, very happy to host you. Very, very happy to be here.
Thank you so much. It's been amazing.